I'm Action.
I'm Set.
And I'm Roll.
And this is our February
update
update video. The worst month of the year. Absolutely nothing going on except, well, our best of videos, which hopefully you enjoyed the best of Railfanning, Planespotting, and other cool stuff. There's a director's cut, some memories videos coming out soon, and yeah, it's been one of the coldest winters so far.
Oh, so far.
I hope everybody's been staying warm.
Not going anywhere unless you absolutely have to.
That's probably why we haven't Planespotted or even tried to go Railfanning in a while, because of the cold and the snow. But hey, spring is right around the corner, hopefully, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only about 2 months away.
Yeah, so suppose you're wondering what the ASG crew is doing. Well, I'll tell you right now, we've been having meetings and we're trying to plan out another great 2018.
Don't want to tell you what it is yet, but it's...
I can tell you something awesome's coming along the way very soon, which was unexpected in the last minute for me, but I think you guys will enjoy when you see it in the next few months.
Not going to say what it is.
Surprise. It's looking like this is going to be an awesome year. We have some fun chases planned out, and we can't wait to share it with you guys. Planespotting and other cool stuff.
Alright, so that's it pretty much for the update. So we decided this month we would give you another top 5. Subject that we all know that is my favorite subject.
Don't we ever.
So we're going to go on to as a group, our top 5 favorite steam locomotives. And I'm going to pass the torch off to Roll.
So this is my top 5 list. It's going to be a mix of static display and operating locomotives because I haven't seen as many as Action and Set here. So starting with my top 5. So starting off my list at number 5 is the Pennsylvania Railroad 675. It is a 482 mountain locomotive. It is in rough shape, but when I saw it a year ago, it did look pretty cool. And I hope the folks down there can give it a cosmetic restoration soon. Okay, my number 4 is the Union Pacific 4017. This is my first big boy that I saw at the National Railroad Museum in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I couldn't get over how big it was, and it was just really cool to see. So my number 3 is the Strasburg 90. That was the first train ride I ever rode on. It was just kind of cool, riding it and going through the countryside of Pennsylvania. So my number 2 is the Frisco 1630. I wish I could have gotten to chase it a little more, but as you know, that was our worst chase. And starting at number 1 is the Viscose Company 6. This one is definitely my favorite because this was my actual first real chase that I had. We chased it, a few different times. It was like all day and stuff, but it was really cool getting to experience my first actual chase. So that is why it's number 1. And now I'm going to hand it back off to Set.
So now we're handing it back to me. Unlike Roll, I will not have any static display steam locomotives, but good choice, Roll.
Thank you.
With my list, we're going to start off. I have 2 lists. We're going to go with my top 5 favorite I've seen, and then we're going to do my top 5 favorite steam locomotives. Starting at number 5 of my top 5 favorite I've seen would have to be the Reading and Northern 425, a light Pacific. Now, I honestly didn't think this locomotive would honestly ever be on a top 5 favorite list of mine, only because I didn't like the headlight arrangement on it. I've actually grown to like it a little more, and 425 I chased it this past year, or on the autumn excursions that the Reading and Northern put on, and this was the day that it specifically ran solo. So there was no diesel assistance, and it was noted as the Railfan Special. It ran unassisted through the hills of Pennsylvania from Reading, PA to Jim Thorpe and back. And it was just really an impressive overall steam locomotive. I couldn't get over when people say it is the loudest operating steam locomotive. I get what they say because you could hear that thing from miles away. My number 4 would have to be the Southern 4501 Mikado class steam locomotive. This one I saw when I was a kid, and I remember it sitting out in the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum yard. And getting to see it in person this past year, it was really cool. It was, I guess you could say it was kind of on my bucket list for all these years, because I always wanted to see it operate, because it was the one on the pamphlet. I rode behind 610, and 4501 was not steamed up that day. And seeing it in operation, it really was cool. My number 3 is the Norfolk and Western 611. Now, this was our first mainline chase, and this was the first chase that kicked off 2017. And I had a friend of mine who had told me about the 611 from years ago. He was telling me just how impressive it was in person. It was my first time seeing a streamlined steam locomotive, and it really did put on a show in Virginia. It was really cool to see. It was a fun chase, and, well, I hope to see the Norfolk and Western 611 in the future. My number 2 favorite steam locomotive I've seen would have to be the Nickel Plate Road 765. Originally, when I was a kid, I didn't like flying number boards in locomotives. I remember I had a few videos that did feature 765 and 587, but after seeing 765 in 2015, which really kind of ignited me to want to see a little more steam locomotives when it came to the Western New York area, getting throttle time with it was awesome, and seeing it twice in Steam in the Valley, it was really impressive. If you haven't been to a Steam in the Valley, even though it's a pain to chase, it's a great ride, and just hearing the 765 in Steam in the Valley is awesome. 765 grew to number 2 on my list because, well, it's a locomotive, I guess you could say, why I kind of started railfanning a little more than what I had. And it's just an impressive locomotive. And my number 1, which won't come as a shock to anyone, of my favorite steam locomotive I've seen is the Pere Marquette 1225. What makes the Pere Marquette 1225 better than the 765 in my opinion? The fact that it was originally built without flying number boards. While I have grown fond of flying number boards, and I do appreciate flying number boards, it is great to actually have a Berkshire without flying number boards. I also like the whistle on the 1225. To me, I think that whistle is louder than the 765s, and I like the fact that it actually has an actual rung bell, where 765s has a hammer bell. And to me, 1225 is just, there's just something about it, whether it's because of the fact it's the real Polar Express. To me, it's just that much more of an impressive locomotive. And now moving on to my top 5 favorite steam locomotives. My number 5 is the Southern 4501. My number 4 would have to be the Nickel Plate Road Berkshire 765. My number 3 is the Norfolk and Western 611, the J-Class Northern. My number 2 is the Pere Marquette 1225. And my number 1, which is one that I haven't seen and I'm hoping to chase someday, is the Union Pacific 844. As I've said in a few other videos, maybe to some of you this might not be a shock, maybe to some of you it is with the amount of time we've given 1225. The 844 is so far away, but the 844 is nostalgic to me because of Shining Time Station. It was the locomotive in the opening for the show Shining Time Station, except for the few of the specials they did in 95. I grew up with Shining Time Station. Shining Time Station is the reason why I liked trains so much growing up. And it didn't just feature 844, it did feature 611, 1218, 2101. It featured quite a few steam locomotives, but 844 was always at the opening, and I love the shot at the closing of the 844 going around a curve on an excursion, and I think it was 1980 or 1979 season, because I remember seeing the program that footage from Shining Time Station came from. Anyhow, those are my top 5 favorite lists. I'm going to hand this over now to Action.
My top 5 favorite locomotives that I've seen. Number 5 is going to be the Strasbourg 90. Mostly because that was the first steam engine I ever saw in person, operational. 4 is the Southern 630, because it's a neat little engine. Number 3 is the Southern 4501, because I just like the way it looks a little bit better than the 630. They're similar, but I placed the 4501 higher on the list just because I like the way it looks a lot better. Number 2 is, of course, Nickel Plate Road 765. That was also my first Berkshire class locomotive I ever saw in person, operational. And when I saw it, was actually renumbered it temporarily to the 767. And my number 1 steam locomotive that I saw is, of course, the 1225. There's just something about that engine. I really can't explain it. There's just something about it that's... And Set can back me up on this one. Now, my favorite steam locomotives in general. Number 5 is the Milwaukee Road Class A Atlantic class locomotives. Unfortunately, these are no longer around. They no longer exist. You would know them as the Hiawatha train. Number 4 is the New York Hudson class, another streamlined locomotive that's just a classic American design. My number 3 is the Norfolk and Western 611. I unfortunately didn't get to see it with Set. It's just a cool looking locomotive, and the whistle is absolutely amazing. Number 2 is the UP 4014. It's one of the big boys, and I picked this one because this is the one they're restoring in the next couple of years. It'll actually be the first operational big boy in like 50 years when it's restored. And again, the number 1 is 1225 for obvious reasons.
Well, that's our top 5 favorite steam locomotive list. All I could say is stay tuned. I know there's a few director's cuts. It might seem like until the weather warms up we might go dormant for a while. But anyhow,
I'm Action.
I'm set.
And I'm Roll.